Pozdrav ljudi, dobrodošli nazad na kanal, ja sam Borna Zuber i danas ćemo proći glavne irske izraze koje možete čuti kad se preselite u Irsku. Neki će ovo biti specifični za Dublin, neki za County Kerry i danas sam pozvao svog frenda Brendana koji će mi pomoći sa time, on će vam ih najbolje objasniti i prevesti i ja ću vam onda na kraju za svaku, to jest pored svake ću vam reći hrvatsku verziju toga, tako da Brendan ne čeka, ajmo odmah uskočiti to. Brendan, how's it going, man? Welcome to the Creation channel.
Hey, thank you very much. It's an honor to be involved. It's going
sure,
good.
Man. For everyone who's tuning in for the first time, me and Brendan are actually doing a lot of podcasts in English. Definitely check out the Uncle Gold podcast. I'll leave a link below the video. But today we decided we're going to do like a half English, half Croatian video where we go through Irish sayings that you could most commonly hear when moving to Ireland or visiting Ireland or going out in Ireland or buying stuff in Ireland. You know, just create a list for you guys to make it easier for everyone. Brendan's going to help me explain them, and then I'm going to translate them into Croatian, so you have everything in one place.
Yeah, it'll be probably useful to a lot of people. Something maybe you could have done with when you were first moving over for some of the stories you told me.
It would have been helpful because in Croatia, people learn like the classical English, you know, like with no accents. And then when people come to Ireland, then the accent is like really strong. And then when you hear a fast sentence, it's hard to hear it sometimes, you know. So I'm sure that a lot of these will help people. And we piled up a whole list of cool sayings that might help you guys. So Brendan, let's get right into it.
Cool.
All right, we have the first one here. Cheers, or cheers, lads.
Yeah, cheers. That's just, it comes from celebrating a drink, but it has evolved to mean thanks. You know, that's appreciated. Yeah, it's basically a way of thanking people for stuff or celebrating something.
Can you also say it when greeting people, like saying hello and goodbye, or?
It's a little bit out of place there, but it wouldn't raise too many eyebrows. You know, say somebody says, "Hi, Borna, welcome along." You'll say cheers. That's fine. Yeah.
All right, cool. Znači, cheers se razvio iz klasičnog onog nazdravljanja za cugu, ali se onda i koristi kao zahvala, recimo na kraju rečenice ili kao nekakav odzdrav, ali uglavnom je vezano za kao živjeli i za odzdravi. All right, so that's the first
cheers
one.
For that translation.
Cheers, Brendan. Cheers for taking the time, man.
Ah, no problem.
That's how we're going to do the video. We're just going to run through them, and Brendan's going to tell like each meaning, each word, what it kind of means and how it can be used. So let's get right into it then. We have the next one here. What's the crack?
What's the crack? What's the crack is basically what's the story, what's happening. You're meeting somebody, or you're arriving at a group that is already, you know, doing whatever they're doing, whether it be work or hanging out or party or whatever. What's the crack, lads? It's a greeting, and not typically expected that you fully explain what the crack in fact is, but crack as a word, it's it can be internationally a little bit controversial because of the drug crack.
Yes. Crack
cocaine, but it has nothing to do with that. It's spelled differently. It's CRAIC, and it means fun. It means excitement.
Where's the action?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's what's the crack would be how you'd greet somebody. How was your night last night? Oh, it was great crack. And in fact, just remembers a relatively recent evolution of that is that you can use it as part of a description of somebody. So it's like, what's Borna like? Borna's mad. Borna's a real crack dealer.
I hope you don't describe me like that to everyone.
Absolutely everybody. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, let me try to summarize that. So what's the crack bi bilo najsličnije našem šta ima, ili se prevodi zapravo vezano za zabavu, gdje se može naći zabava, gdje je akcija ili šta se događa, šta se zbiva. I kaže Brendan da je u zadnje vrijeme se to koristi čak kao da se opiše nekoga kao on je crack, kao on je zabavan, kao on je life of the party. All right, cool. So what's the crack? You mentioned a word there before when we were talking about it, you said lads, and please explain who are the lads, because in my mind that's a bunch of guys, but as far as I've heard, it can be also women.
Funnily enough, I'm from Dublin, so I'm from the capital city. We live in Kerry now, which is over the other side of the country, and there are some different traditions in different sides of the country. But to me, I would agree with you that lads was exclusively male. But as soon as I moved to Kerry, and I was going to school when I moved here, I was hearing groups of girls going, lads, come on. And I realized that in Kerry, lads is anybody. Everybody's a lad. There's also a somewhat less, what would you call it, PG interpretation of the word lad. So the lad refers to a part of the male anatomy as well.
Okay.
Don't get your lad out with the lads.
Unless the lads are into lads.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there like a minimum requirement of people that would constitute a lads instead of like a few of them, you know?
I don't know, to be honest with you. My gut feeling would say 5. And if you were referring to an individual person as a lad, I think that would still be exclusively male.
Okay, cool. All right, let me summarize that. So lads je referenca na nešto tipa što se u Zagrebu kaže ekipa ili grupa ili ljudi, zato što se odnose na oni tamo ljudi ili grupa, i često ih se u rečenici spominje onako kao idem se družiti sa ekipom, idem se družiti sa onim ljudima tamo, jel? I često nije vezano za jednu ili dvije osobe, nego za grupu. Kaže Brendan da se može biti vezano i za muško spolovilo, jel? I da on je iz Dublina i da se tamo odnosi samo na muške, a ovdje u Kerriju da se odnosi zapravo i na muške i na ženske i da nije zapravo vezano za to da li je u grupi samo muški, jer lad inače je često vezano kao smisao riječi je da je muško, ali u grupi je zapravo više kao ekipa. All right, so
couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, Brendan agrees with everything. So, Brendan, you often hear the saying, no bother. Can you explain that?
It's almost exactly what it sounds like. It's a way of responding to a request and saying that that will not be a problem to execute. So, you know, could you have that report for me by Friday morning? Yeah, no bother. Just means that will not be a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Znači, no bother se odnosi na ako vas neko nešto traži ili nešto pita, da im doslovce kažete, nije problem, nema problema, sve ok, može, i signalizirate kao da je to ok. All right, this one is pretty self-explanatory then. Then we have one where it's kind of in between. When the first time I heard it, I thought it was supposed to signal something miraculously great, but turns out it's not. So it's grand, or you're grand, or it'll be grand.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, of course, the actual English language meaning of the word grand is large and impressive and very sort of almost overwhelming.
Yeah. Like a huge build, like a huge cathedral in, like the one in Spain would be a grand cathedral.
Yeah, or in science, the grand unified theory that explains the entire universe. Whereas in Irish, grand is like satisfactory.
All right. All right.
Like, and sorry, in Irish English, I should say. How are you feeling? I'm grand. That doesn't mean that you're the best you could possibly be in the entire universe. It means you're all right. You know, nothing spectacular.
So it's more like a okay.
Yeah.
Than extraordinary.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can inflect it with your tone of voice as well. Would you mind doing this for me? Grand.
Okay.
I'll do it. I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'll do it.
Okay, cool. I got it. Znači, grand, iako zvuči kao klasični opis riječi je da je nešto onako fantastično, velebno, ogromno, super, zapravo kako to Irci kažu, je više onako sličnije riječi ok ili nešto da je kao onako relativno dobro, i navodno da se može utjecati sa naglaskom na to koliko je zapravo to ok ili dobro, više vezano za da nekome kažete onako A da, bilo je dobro. I ne misli se, iako je doslovan prijevod kao ono, velebno nešto, tipa, ko što je Brendan rekao, ono, grandiozna teorija u fizici koja bi objasnila sve, ili ono što sam ja bio spomenuo, katedrala u Španjolskoj, ona Sagrada Familia, da bi ona bila grandiozna, na primjer. Ovdje je to više onako kao, ok, sam. All right, we got that one as well. Then I heard it a lot. Look sure used in sentences a lot. What's happening there, Brendan?
It's really just a crutch word. It doesn't really mean anything. Look sure. It's a way of breaking the sentence and organizing your thoughts. Yeah. It doesn't have a particular meaning. There's no like look sure, you know, to gaze intently at something. No. It's just
can it be used similar to oh it's grand, like to kind of slightly affirm something?
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Very slightly affirm something, yes. But it's very contextual because there's no certain meaning to it.
Ok, cool. Znači, to je nekakva poveznica koja se stavlja između dviju dijelova rečenice, ili ako vas neko pita nešto, onda kažete look sure i onda nastavite dalje pričati da čisto povežete to jedno sa drugim, ali definitivno ne znači ono kao, pogledaj sad i sigurno, ko što su doslovni prijevodi riječi. Ok, we got it. Then we have a sarcastic one. I will, yeah. Can you explain what does that actually mean?
I will, yeah.
So you would normally think that it's something where you strongly affirm, like, I will, yeah.
Yeah. But like I just demonstrated, it's typically that construction, that sentence, I will, yeah, is almost exclusively used sarcastically. And it's obviously, I would hope, meaning no.
So if I ask you, Brendan, can you drive me to the train station?
Will you? Not after what you did last week. You know, it's typically something where the request is an offense to the person you're asking it to. Yeah. So, if somebody says they will, yeah, it's off.
Okay, so it's more of a no.
Yeah. However, if they say, "Oh, I will," yeah,
then
it's all in the intonation.
You said to me once that Irish like to use sarcasm a lot, and that there are often sentences like that where somebody's saying like, "Oh yeah, but it's actually a no. It's not a yes."
Oh yeah. It's all in the inflection.
Do you know any other examples, maybe, or is that one the main one that you would use?
Do you have any in mind? So you're putting
I can't remember any. All right, let's just stick to this one. If we remember any of them, we'll go through them as we speak. So I will, yeah, u doslovnom prijevodu znači da budem, ali zapravo se kaže više kao ne, jer osoba obično, neko te traži nešto i onda ne želiš reći osobi ne direktno da ju ne uvrijediš, nego samo negiraš i kroz to što si rekao da zapravo kažeš ne. I to je dosta vezano sa tonalitetom, jer možeš i reći ono kao jako entuzijastično kao oh yeah, I will, yeah, i onda ispadne stvarno kao da to želiš, ali zapravo ako se kaže onako sa padajućim naglaskom, onda je to zapravo ne. Alright, I got it. As you heard, ne is the Croatian for no.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we did.
Do you have the term "you don't say" on your list?
Also in a sarcastic way, like if somebody says, "Oh, it's raining today," and you're both like wet.
Yeah, or if somebody says, as you can tell, "ne" is the Croatian for no, because the immediate response I had in my head was, "Oh, you don't say."
we have one. It's two words, M-A, and then D-A-J, so madai, and we would say it like madai. Oh, really?
The tone of voice is exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, next word on the list. That sound.
Yeah, that sound. It has a sound underpinning in the English language because the word sound, while it means also auditory stimulus. Yeah, exactly. It also means that something is solid or well constructed or well made. So you can have a point that is sound, you can have a building that is sound, a bridge that is sound, a ship's hull that is sound. And the Irish took that meaning and just applied it to everything. So what's Borna like? Oh, Borna's sound. He's a mad lad. Mad lad's another one.
So I'm a real drug dealer, mad sound.
Crack dealer. Crack dealer.
Crack dealer, yeah. Okay. I also heard the story that when they were testing coins to see if it was made out of gold, the sound that it produced was different than if you put in metals or different things. So if it made a certain sound that you knew while working with gold and metals, it would take that sound.
Yeah.
So that
makes a lot of sense,
you know. And
I guess it applies to bells as well. If there's microscopic cracks, it won't ring properly. Yeah. That's very interesting.
So it probably comes from blacksmithing and some kind of metal industry. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Let's summarize that. Znači, sound, iako znači zvuk, koristi se više da se kaže kao nešto je dobro, nešto je ok, nešto je provjereno, i koristilo se jako često vezano za to da se kaže da je nešto provjereno i da je dobro napravljeno i da je vezano za nekakve metale, tipa željezo, zvono, ili ovo što sam ja bio ispričao da je za novčiće vezano ako je od zlata ili nečeg, i zapravo nije vezano za zvuk, nego je, to jest jer ova priča koju sam ja ispričao da je za zvuk vezano kad se zlatni novčić bacio i proizvodio drugačiji zvuk nego ovi ostali, ali je zapravo vezano, doslovno značenje bi bilo kao on je u redu ili to je napravljeno ok, onako da se potvrdi nešto da radi. All right, we got that one out of the way. Now, in an important one that I almost made a big mistake on. So I was doing interviews when I moved over to Ireland, and I did a phone interview first, and they said, all right, call in on Monday. And I thought I was supposed to call them on Monday.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, I really don't have a backstory for this one, but yeah, it simply means come here physically, call in, as in call to the door, as in arrive here. Yeah, I don't know why, but it's interchangeable, and it can be confusing even to native speakers as well, but it's still used.
Ok, cool. Znači ja kad sam se doselio, radio sam intervjue za posao i nakon što sam prvog odradio, rekli su mi call in on Monday i ja sam mislio da ih trebam nazvat kao call, kao poziv preko telefona, ali zapravo to znači trebaš doći ovdje, znači fizički se pojaviti na mjestu, a ne nazvat. Tako da na to pazite, ako vam neko kaže call in, morate doći tamo, a ne nazvat. All right, sound. I heard one, she or he was giving out to him. So giving out.
Right. Giving out. Yeah, it's funny. Like, to me, that's such a fundamental part of language that I actually struggle to come up with an alternative way to express it. But giving out is to castigate someone or to admonish somebody, to tell them what they've done wrong and how bad they are for doing badly.
Okay. Znači, to give out bi značilo da neko nekome prigovara ili mu govori kako je pogriješio, kako je nešto krivo napravio. Brendan, that's used mostly, like I heard it in a context of his girlfriend is giving out to him.
Yes. And of course, what I think of is being given out to by my mother or by my teacher.
Yeah. Parents give out to their children because they misbehaved.
Exactly.
Okay. Znači, najčešće se koristi kad vam, recimo, cura ili roditelji prigovaraju za nešto što ste napravili, pa vam onda nabije na nos ili prigovaraju ili špotaju, se kaže nekim dijelovima. Okay, got that one as well. Now we have one that I thought was connected to the English word to F-U-C-K, but the Irish version is feck, and you explained to me that that's not actually connected to the same meaning.
Yeah, it happens sometimes when Irish people go abroad and they say, "Ah, this feckin' place is shite altogether," or something like that, and cause massive offense. And feck is really a second tier. What's the word? Not expletive. What's the word? Second tier swear word anyway.
Okay.
It's on a level with like crap or less offensive swear words. It is not directly related to fuck, but it can be used in place of that in pretty much every situation, perhaps not with the word mother before it or so on. And what the actual accepted meaning of it is in Irish society when speaking English is to throw. To feck things up the field is a common expression, you know. The phone was rubbish, so I fecked it up the field. And that means to throw it far away. And feck off means to throw yourself far away. Yeah, it's funny though, because you'd expect that a unique word like that, with such a strong association with Ireland and such a unique context within Ireland, might originate from the Irish language. But the only word that I know of, and I'm by far not an expert in the Irish language, but the only word that I know of that's similar to it is fake, which means look. And it certainly has nothing to do with the meaning that's accepted in English parlance in Ireland these days.
So where would people use it most commonly? Like, because I heard it also in the feckin' this, feckin' that.
Yeah, well, it's exactly, almost exactly as versatile as fuck. It's what did you think of those lads we were hanging out with the other night? They were a bunch of feckers. Feck me, it's warm. You know, it can be used in pretty much every situation that the other word can as well.
All right, cool. But it's not the same word. That's the
not the same word, not as impactful. Most people would probably not feel too uncomfortable using it around their parents, whereas you might with the other one.
All right, cool. Američka riječ koju svi znate, ono za FUCK, koja je zapravo dosta vezana za negativno i nekako psovanje. Brendan kaže da fek i fekin je zapravo onako niži rang psovke i više je vezana onako sa ajoj, drek ili ajoj, glupost ili tak nešto, gdje nije zapravo toliko intenzivna i ljudi bi se osjećali ok da to onako u javnosti kažu, ne bi se osjećali kao da psuju i ne bi se osjećali kao da je toliko uvredljiva. I nije ista riječ, jer korijen riječi dolazi od to feck, što bi značilo nešto kao baciti preko polja, jel, kao riješiti se toga. I onda kad nekome kaže feck off bi bilo zapravo a daj makni se, jel, a ne od j koja se kod nas koristi često kao direktna psovka za sve. Ovo je puno blaža varijanta i zapravo nije toliko uvredljiva i nije ista riječ kao ona američka, jel? All right, yeah, that one was interesting to me because I really thought that one was basically the same as the other word.
It's totally understandable. I mean, it's used in exactly the same context, sounds very similar. Why wouldn't it be? But for whatever reason, in Irish society, it's not as impactful.
Yeah, okay. All right, so the next one is your man. And you said there are two other ones that are kind of similar. Please do explain.
Yeah, so your man is a way of indicating someone who you perhaps don't know the name of or don't want to say the name of for the reasons of not drawing attention to the conversation. For example, your man over there is a bit weird, isn't he? And that way he wouldn't necessarily hear his name and look around and go, oh, they're talking about me being weird. So there's your man.
Translation is not that he is your man.
Like, no, certainly not. Certainly not. No, your man. And I remember as a kid trying to understand the usage of it because it's funny. We had people in doing like workmen in our house doing a conversion on the attic room and turning it into an extra bedroom. And my parents were talking about your man upstairs, and I was like, whose man is he? Like, why is he your man? How is that possible? Can you own people?
You own them?
So Yeah, it's I can understand the confusion, all right. But your man simply means that person or the person of interest at the moment. So it's usually a surreptitious way to talk about somebody without drawing too much attention. And you know, in the interests of gender equality, there's also your woman, exactly the same usage. However, your one or your one is exclusively female, and that can be used in positive and negative ways. Who decided that we should be doing this way? Your one. And that indicates a female who in a position of authority who is constantly making decisions like this, because it's a common frame of reference. Another setting would be in a nightclub. Check out your one. And that's the your one variant. So that's not your one, that's your one. That's WAN. And that typically
first one would be with ON.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That typically refers to an attractive female, and it's usually used among
lads.
Men. Yeah,
lads,
exactly. Well, the Dublin sense of lads. And there's a variant on that as well, which is young ones. Young ones or young ones. And in either case, that means attractive young women.
Okay, cool. Give me a second to go through all of that.
Sure, sorry. So, that was a lot of information.
No worries, no worries. You're grand. So
no
your
bother.
man, no bother, yeah. Your man odnose se za ne kao tvoj muškarac ili kao tvoj čovjek, nego je više onako kao neka pokazna izjavna rečenica koja pokazuje na nekoga kao onaj tamo lik ili onaj tamo tip, bez da mu se kaže njegovo ime. Ili ako imate recimo, ne znam, Brendan je ispričao priču da su radnici bili kod njega doma i popravljali su nešto na tavanu, pa onda kao your man je bio gore i popravljao je to. Nije zapravo to njihov čovjek bio koji je to popravljao, nego onaj lik tamo ili onaj tip tamo to popravlja. I više se odnosi ovako na nekog drugog da ga se opiše ili predstavi, ili ako ste nekome zaboravili ime, onda kažete your man. Sad, ima i ona verzija koju je rekao da se na žene odnosi, koji je your one ili your van. Did I say that right?
Your woman? Yeah, your one. No, when you said your van, so it's your one.
Your one.
Okay. Yeah, the W can catch you.
We'll
but also don't forget your woman.
Yeah, all right. Znači, ima dvije verzije toga. Ova sa VON, tu se više u negativnom kontekstu odnosi kao ona je to napravila, kao recimo, ne znam, šefica vas iritira, pa kao ko je donio tak glupu odluku, to je ona donijela tu odluku. I ima ova sa VAN, tu se više odnosi na, kao recimo kad muški u klubu pričaju nekakvoj zgodnoj ženskoj, onda kaže kao ona, baci pogled na onu tamo žensku, ili onda je VAN. I the fourth thing you said was a young one.
Yes. So
right.
Young one is an attractive young lady.
Okay. To može biti izraz kao za atraktivnu ženu i doslovan prijevod bi bio ona mlada tamo, a zapravo se odnosi na pogledaj onu tamo zgodnu curu. All right, got it. Now we've gone through all four of them.
Yes.
So if you don't understand all of that, you could be described as an idiot.
Yes, he could. So idiot, I think, is most likely a corruption of the English word idiot. I've just got idiot. And it's just almost the same, but it doesn't have quite the same sharpness as idiot. Like if you describe someone as an idiot, they are irredeemably stupid. But an idiot is someone who constantly makes silly mistakes, but isn't necessarily completely moronic. It's slightly lighter in tone. And that brings to mind actually an Irishism that I don't think is on the list, which is go away. So if somebody suggests something really dumb, you might turn around and go, go away, you idiot. And go away, like literally means go away, but it's not necessarily meaning that you have to leave. It just means, would you ever step down from that stance, that position?
I also heard some of our colleagues say things like, somebody said something shocking and people are like, oh, go away. Like more in a sense of like, oh, really?
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's true. Yeah, so an expression of surprise, shock, disbelief.
Okay, let's translate those two. So idiot je nekakva inačica riječi idiot, gdje se dosta kaže za nekoga da je glup, ali možda ne vrijeđa toliko, nego kaže da jednostavno konstantno radi greške i pogreške kroz cijeli život i naziva ga se onako kao više ne toliko kompetentnim, jel, ali više kao nesposobnim ili glupim. Jel? Ali slična je riječ i vrlo vjerojatno je izvedenica od originalne riječi idiot. Go away bi bila slična riječ koja se koristi, zapravo nije toliko slična koliko se koristi u situacijama, recimo ovo što je Brendan rekao, go away idiot, kao da kažeš nekome da se makne, ili može biti korištena na početku rečenice, to jest nakon što je neko izjavio nešto šokantno, onda može biti onako kao ma daj ili oh yeah, I just remembered, like ma daj can be also used not sarcastically, like really, you know, like as in shock, like oh go away. Može biti ma daj i može biti zar stvarno onako kao ozbiljno, ali više su onako slangu koriste. I hope I got this right. I haven't done on-the-spot translations in a long time, so if I missed anything here, guys, feel free to leave it in the comments and we'll explain it again, but I think I'm fairly accurate with everything that I said.
I'd also like to put a disclaimer on my contributions here as well, that I'm a middle-class Dubliner living in Kerry trying to explain these. And what Borna was saying about the accents being difficult, if you're watching this video as a Croatian and think that I'm relatively understandable, thank you. But also, I don't represent most Irish people's way of speaking. And similarly,
I can attest to that.
I'm not necessarily completely well versed in all of these different colloquialisms from all over the country. So with that disclaimer in mind, let's move along.
Yeah, so we're not language experts. We're just like two lads on the internet.
Having the bands.
Yeah. And,
which we should probably explain.
Do it.
Right, so banter is, I think, a fairly standard English word. Just means, what would you call it? Cheerful conversation. Mm-hmm. And that in recent years has become an Irish expression as well, or been bastardized into an Irish expression of the bants, having the bants. What are you going to do this evening? Oh, go out, had the bants with the lads down the pub.
So you're not going to have multiple bands of musicians. You're going to have bands as a banter.
Well, it's bant with a T.
Oh, with a T.
Okay. Yes. So it's banter shortened.
Okay. Znači, banter ili skraćeno bants se odnosi na ovako pozitivan razgovor kojeg ljudi vode međusobno i pričaju i razgovaraju jedni sa drugima i sad se nedavno to skratilo u kraću verziju. All right, cool. And yes, I just wanted to touch on your previous point. I do agree that you have a very easy to understand accent, so I don't think that's really typical, especially for Kerry, where people like to speak a lot faster and add a lot more of these really strong spikes in like either shortening the word or using something that's very slang-like, where you really have a hard time understanding it if you're not local.
The accent also doesn't come from so much the back of the throat as the bottom of the stomach. So it's a very deep accent, which I won't insult my Kerry friends by attempting to imitate.
Okay, cool. Thanks a mil for that.
Oh, no problem. No bother, man. I know you're not finishing up here. Thanks a mil is a shortened version of thanks a million. Thanks a million. It just means thank you very much. It's just another way of expressing that.
Okay. Thanks a million je znači druga verzija kak se kaže hvala puno, i thanks a mil je skraćena verzija od ove duge di je million, i jednostavno reprezentira to da vam se neko zahvaljuje. All right, this was a pretty easy one. And I like the shorter version a lot better. Thanks a mil. I know it sounds kind of like a nicer word. I don't know why.
Yeah. Although it could be misconstrued as thanks a milligram, like a sarcastic way of saying, yeah, you have the smallest possible measurable amount of my thanks, of my gratitude.
Fair
But
play,
no,
Brendan.
that's not a common usage. I just think it could be misconstrued that way.
Okay. We'll add a disclaimer. So, znači, ne znači kao miligram, kao hvala ti onak minimalno za to što si napravio, nego je više onak kao tepajoća riječ u kojem se na lijep način kaže hvala ti puno, jel?
Pozdrav ljudi, ovo je video o svim najpoznatijim irskim izrazima, podijelio sam ga u 3 dijela, tako da ako još niste, pogledajte i druga 2 nakon ovog videa.